We were so preoccupied on whether or not we could that we didn't stop to think we should. We did an episode on Jurassic Park. Watch us as the Technodrome finds a way. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Throwbacks with the Technodrome. Hi.
What up?
I am Duff. As you can see, we got a Scales and a Cast here as well. Again, hope you like our new backgrounds that Cast so generously put together for us. If you recall and you're one of our earlier fans, you know that one of our first episodes was the Ninja Turtles, and this describes our favorite Ninja Turtle. Obviously, Michelangelo's the best, so that's why I'm hosting, and Orange is behind me. But I don't know if these guys have anything to say about that.
Yeah.
But that's not why we're here today. We are here today to talk about a movie in particular, but you might even get into the whole franchise as well. We thought it was fitting, in knowing that the sixth installment of this essential franchise just recently came out. So we thought it would be a perfect opportunity to grab onto this, because the original is, in our opinions, one of the most iconic movies that, to come across, and especially as a summer blockbuster film. So without further ado, we are going to talk about Jurassic Park, in case you didn't pick up on that. Yay. Jurassic Park. Now, when I say Jurassic Park, what are the first things that come to mind? Cast, give me something that comes to mind when you think of Jurassic Park, like when you just hear the name, or, when you hear somebody talking about it, like what kind of feelings does that emote?
First thing to think of, obviously, is dinosaurs. For
Clever.
obvious reasons, duh.
Clever girl.
Then, nice. Good job. Good reference.
I didn't have the sound for it,
but. Secondly, I think of Jeff Goldblum, because I think of him probably once a day or so, because he's
interesting.
Really,
do you think of him in your alone time?
No, only among other people.
Okay, good. That's
good. Yeah, I'm afraid to think of him in my alone time. But yeah, just when I think of Jurassic Park, I just think like big. Like it's just like this awe-inspiring movie to see in the theater, and like I might wait. We'll see where this conversation is going to go, but I definitely have a story about going to see it the first time. But yeah, anytime I think of Jurassic Park, it's just that feeling that I had seeing it for the first time.
Cool. Good answer. Scales, what do you got for us?
Happiness. I love Jurassic Park. One of my probably like top 3 favorite movies of all time. I watch it so much. It's on TV all the time, seems like these days. Just makes me feel like a kid, takes me back. As I've alluded to, you two didn't get to see Jurassic Park in the theater. Got to see Lost World in the theater, which, sequel's never as good as the original, but I'll take what I can get. Don't remember watching Jurassic Park for the first, I don't know when the first time was that I watched it. Maybe rented it from Blockbuster. I don't know. Watched it at a friend's house, something, but it didn't matter. I loved dinosaurs as a kid. I love fantasy of all fantasy creatures, all that stuff. I'm just enthralled by it. So it's so intriguing to me that these gigantic beasts, walk this same earth that we did millions of years ago. And it's just, I don't know. It just gets me all excited. I love it. Love Jurassic Park. I don't know. Not much else to say. We'll dive into things. I love all the movies, all the sequels. I'm a huge fan of all of it. They take my money every couple of years when these new movies comes out.
Plus, you always love chocolate.
That is true. I always love chocolate, and there's plenty of chocolate in the concession stand.
This is true.
Now, are you a goober, a raisinette? What if nonpareils, the snow caps? What's your chocolate?
I do love snow caps. I love a good nonpareil. Yeah, classic.
Because we We did have a conversation about this when you were
Yes.
absent with our friend the Rev. That's
Yeah.
I got
Yes.
yelled at for saying I like Raisinets.
Oh, I like Raisinets too.
But
Yeah,
it was,
Dark chocolate. Dark chocolate.
but still, it
Raisinets,
was.
man.
I was yelled at because it's technically kind of like a fruit in there, and it's like healthy-ish, but covered in chocolate. I was yelled at for that, but we can leave that.
I'm with you. I'm with you, Duffy.
Okay,
It's
good.
okay.
Okay. Um,
onward.
but I like those feelings that you guys are getting from Jurassic Park. I too have similar feelings. Obviously, I think of dinosaurs, and I just when I think of the original Jurassic Park, I just think of like it was one of the first movies that I saw at that age where I just saw it and I was like, whoa. You watch it and you're like, whoa, this is like different than anything I've ever seen before. It looks real.
Mhm.
And it was like the first movie that I really saw where it just kind of brought it to life and it like brought dinosaurs to life. And that kind of feeling of just seeing it for the first time. I was lucky enough to see it in the theater when it came out, but I want to say it was like it was a little while after it had already been out, and the lines to get in were still crazy. I do remember that, but that was back in the day when people went to movies a lot. That's what you did. Movies were out in the theaters for like months and months, and you would go and see it and the lines would still be crazy for like a solid month.
And then you had
But
to
yeah.
wait. You had to wait forever for it to come out on home video.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's true.
Absolutely. That was like a solid, at least like year, right? Sometimes
Close to
I'd
it.
say
Yeah.
it was like close, like when they
It was
first started doing that.
Yeah, it was a lot of months at least. Probably
Indeed.
9 months or so.
And if you wanted to rent it, you'd have to be lucky enough that they'd have a copy in store. Like if you go to Blockbuster, I mean, maybe they're all out and you got to wait for someone to friggin' return one before you can get to rent it.
And if you were going to rent it from Blockbuster, it was going to be one of the red rentals where you can only have it for 2 days, and then
Yes.
2 days really meant that day.
Exactly.
And the next day you had to bring it back.
Uh-huh.
Bastards.
Good old days. But yeah, this brings us back. Yeah, 1993. This movie came out. Released June 11th, 93, which was a Friday. That's when movies are normally released. Another Spielberg film. I mean, he was just running on all gears at that point in his career. I mean, he'd had so many films already that he had under his belt, and just adding another one like this was just like, geez, what else could he possibly come out with? And he came out with plenty more after this too.
Yeah.
But it was like insane. It was something like for that period of time, broke box office records, like 47 million or something like that I saw. A lot of money.
He was really flexing, showing how versatile he was and how many different genres he could cover. Because
it was at this time, and there was actually like a little bit of a conflict where he was wondering if he should hold off on Jurassic Park so that he could focus solely on Schindler's List, but he decided to just go with both. And I'm like,
that's crazy.
And Schindler's List.
And it's like it's not like you're making two movies that are even remotely tonally the same.
No,
right.
You're making one, fantasy dinosaur epic, and then one about the Holocaust.
Absolutely,
crazy range.
Yeah.
It's just so much that he offers, and he continues to even offer to this day. But yeah, this I think again was another groundbreaking movie for him, and kind of put him on the map still.
I love Spielberg. Just to interject quickly, I loved Spielberg as a kid. I remember doing a book report or some kind of report.
You knew him as a child? That's pretty cool.
No, I didn't.
I was going to say you only liked him as a child. You didn't like him when he was a director.
I like him now. I learned about him as a child, and I was like enthralled by him and all these great movies that he did. And I remember writing some kind of book report on him in maybe 4th or 5th grade. I don't recall, but it was. I mean, the guy's a freaking legend, and I mean, I recognize that as a kid. And like you said, Duff, he's continued on even to now. I mean, he's an old
also around this time. I think it was a few years earlier. Tiny Toon Adventures, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I think he also had a hand in Animaniacs too.
Yes,
I want to say he had a hand in that, and there was a couple other. I know we've talked about some other stuff, but he's had his hand in a lot of different things.
Yeah,
and he gets around.
Even Back to the Future, Robert Zemeckis, in name directed it, but a lot of people said that Spielberg had, again, a lot of input, and you could tell some of the directing. It's like some of the direction is textbook Spielberg.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Duff, do you remember specifically anything about when you went to see the movie the first time, other than like outside of plot? Because
I mean, honestly, no. The only thing I remember is I do remember waiting in line in the theater and just like like, super excited because you heard so much about it. Again, back in that time, you'd get your reviews from either like, the news on TV, Siskel and Ebert. They do their reviews, and I think they gave this like an amazing review, if I remember correctly, which I don't think they gave everything great reviews. I think they gave even Forrest Gump like a bad review or something.
Ugh.
But yeah, I remember waiting in line and being super excited to see it. And just sitting in the theater, and I just remember certain scenes from it and seeing those scenes for the first time.
Yeah.
Which I was gonna, get into a couple of the bigger scenes that I remember.
Yeah.
Particular,
We could talk about
just
it.
like I remember just the scenes where it was just like, whoa, that's so cool.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I remember, so whatever grade we were in must have been, it was
If it
probably
was-
the end of second grade, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Try to think,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, end of second grade or third grade, but I think it's second grade. I just remember my mom picking me up from school, and again, I went to Catholic school where we had to wear a uniform and everything. And my mom said, she had a surprise. She was going to take me somewhere, and she had a bag with clothes to change into. So I knew it was going to be something exciting. I had no idea what, and we drove over to the Alpine movie theater in Bay Ridge in Brooklyn, and she was taking me to see Jurassic Park. It was just, I don't even know if I had any awareness of it before that. I don't remember if it's something I really wanted to see, but I just remember like that is an experience that's always stayed with me as something very special, because we went to go see, like expecting to go home and like do the usual, like have to go do homework or maybe play outside or whatever it was, and then it's like, oh, I'm getting taken on this adventure and going seeing this incredible movie, which at that point was probably my favorite movie I'd ever seen, maybe Home Alone, but it's
Both
just
great.
something that always stuck with me, and that's whenever, no matter what Jurassic Park movie comes out, whether I've seen it, whether it gets good reviews or bad reviews, it always brings me back to that first time that I went to go see the movie and how great I thought it was.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That those initial feelings you just feel, it's like instant nostalgia almost,
Mhm.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought what we would do is, I know I recently watched this again. I mean, I've seen it so many times, but I wanted to watch it kind of with like some fresh eyes and take some notes and just see if there was anything else that popped up for me again that I didn't notice. I'm not sure if either of you two got the chance to do that, but I know Scales, you were watching Lost World a little bit, which we'll dabble into a little bit as we go through.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely notice some. I mean, Lost World, I think I've gained a new appreciation for.
For Vince
I've always-
Vaughn, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Of course, Vince Vaughn.
Could it be a lost classic?
It could be. I mean, I think you should go back and watch it, Kes, with some fresh eyes. I think you may appreciate it a little more.
All right, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll get into that, but I didn't think it was that bad. But it's just, compared to the first, it's hard shoes to fill.
Yeah.
No,
When
yeah.
you're talking
All
about
of them.
Jurassic Park, where it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's get into it a little bit. Let's talk about it. Like, I don't know if you want to go through the plot a little bit. I mean, sure, most people out there have seen it. I was thinking maybe we go through some of our, kind of favorite scenes or things that stuck out for us. I mean, obviously this was like, groundbreaking in regards to like CG, computer graphics and animation. I mean, you had Terminator 2 that came out recently, and what was the other one? James Cameron, The Abyss, was that the other one that he did?
Yeah.
Yep.
I know those two kind of came out before, and those kind of like put James Cameron on the map, and people started looking into that, like, hey, maybe this could be something we could utilize, and it's maybe save some time. Because I know initially, I think when they were putting Jurassic Park together, they were trying to do everything with like models, and they realized it was just going to take way too much time, and they just didn't like it. So I think they tried to, go off the beaten path a little and try this new CGI kind of approach, and obviously it really worked well for them. But
I think part of what makes it so great is it's a mix of CGI and animatronics.
Right.
Like it's always good when there's a solid mix of special effects and practical effects, because I think it keeps things a little more grounded.
I agree.
I've never seen The Abyss.
Me neither.
And I've seen
bits and pieces.
I
I know I've seen it, but it's been a while.
It's amazing that T2 and Jurassic Park, the special effects have held up fantastically. Over 30 years
Absolutely.
later for T2 and almost 30 years later for Jurassic Park.
I agree.
Watching it with, I did go back and watch it, rewatch Jurassic Park yesterday, and you could see some spots where the CG isn't fantastic, but I feel like it really peaked with Jurassic Park, and then for years after CG was just awful. Like it looked
Yeah.
so bad in so many movies. And the fact that you could look back at Jurassic Park and really have to stare at scenes to see like, all right, it could have been a little smoother here, but like the design of the dinosaurs and the way they move generally is so good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
So
I
good.
agree.
it's fluid. It's almost like they were studying them and were watching dinosaurs move and stuff. It's
Yeah.
pretty cool that they can get all that information from just looking at fossils and picking
Yeah.
up on that stuff. But yeah, I mean, that was groundbreaking with a lot of that stuff. And but fun little fact: the entire movie, only about 11% of that film that we watched, which we call Jurassic Park, only about 11% of that film is dedicated to actual dinosaur scenes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn.
So it's and I know they spent so much time too on even just that 11%. So you'd think that it's like all about dinosaurs, but really the overall scheme, the way that they put it together, there wasn't actually that much, in
But
the overall.
it's not surprising though, given who the director is, because think about what made Jaws such a
Exactly.
success.
Yep.
True.
Not showing
True.
the shark, and that was because the shark malfunctioned. It was originally supposed to be in the movie a lot more, but I feel
Excellent point.
like that's what makes the first movie so special, is that when you see the dinosaurs, anytime you see them, it's something big.
Absolutely.
When you oversaturate a movie with whatever was supposed to be, the exciting part about it, it loses its luster. It's like you get desensitized to it. So it's funny. It's crazy that it's only 11%. I definitely would have thought it was more than that, but yeah, I feel like
that number
that's-
is kind of shocking to me. I would have thought
I
at
know.
least like 25, 20,
Yeah, I
25.
saw that and I was like, what? But you think about it and it's like, okay, I guess that does make sense. But
Yeah.
you're on point with that Spielberg connection there with Jaws. I mean, I think he's always kind of done a good job with leaving some stuff up to the imagination a little bit, or kind of making you wonder what is going to happen next, and not just like oversaturating it with too much. And he's always done a very good job with that. Yeah, I thought we would kind of get into some scenes. I mean, going through the movie, there's one initial iconic scene that I always think of. One of the ones that I remember from the actual movie itself, when I was sitting in the theater. It's just that initial scene where they showed Dr. Grant and what's her name, Dr. Sadler. Yeah. And they're driving up in the Jeep and they're in the fields or whatever, and they've already flown out there, and they're looking up, and all of a sudden there's this gigantic, I think it was a Brachiosaurus.
Yeah. And they move in herds as they
Exactly.
discover.
And it's that first scene where they show a dinosaur in the film, and the camera pans up and you're like, holy crap. And then of course John Williams comes in with his like perfect his perfect ensemble for the movie. I can't think of any other music that would go with that. He just has that gift. And the music, along with just seeing it for the first time, and you're like, whoa. I don't know what you guys remember feeling with that scene, but that's in my opinion, one of the most iconic scenes with that film.
Given that the majority of our lives are in a post Jurassic Park world, I have to say, I mean, they depicted dinosaurs on screen before. There's dinosaurs in King Kong in 1933. Godzilla's a dinosaur. I'm going to speak on behalf of all of us and tell me if I'm wrong. I think that our overall, like our mental image and our general concept of what a dinosaur looks like, would sound like, how it moves, was shaped by Jurassic Park.
Oh yeah.
Just because there's a fluidity to it that there wasn't in any previous movie. And it's like now, it's believable that, wow, that's what a T-Rex would sound like, or, the raptors would purr like they do. It's that's my sense. Scales. What were you going to say?
It's amazing to me when I was watching this, how Sam Neill and Laura Dern, they're acting, like their reaction to seeing this Brachiosaurus, like it's actually, like the acting is so good. Like you think that they're actually seeing a dinosaur for the first time, the way that they're looking, and like he takes his glasses off and his hat, and he like grabs her by the head and makes her like, it's just you feel with them, because this is the first time we're seeing a dinosaur in its full. I know there's a scene with the raptor in the beginning where you see his eye and you see a little bit, but this is, like Duffy said, the first time we're seeing the dinosaur in its full form on screen, and it's you're living it with them, because it's like, holy shit, like that's
Exactly.
it's like
Yeah.
wow, it's crazy.
Yeah. And then
And
of
we're
course,
what were you saying?
oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say also crediting their performances. So
Yeah.
my concept of the movie as a kid and now is totally different. Um, Dr. Grant always seemed a little stuffy to me when I was younger, but
Mhm.
now I greatly appreciate Sam Neill's performance because you see in him and in what's her name, Laura Dern,
Mhm.
Dr. Sattler. Um, every time they see a dinosaur and everything that happens, they approach it with kind of a childlike wonder. It's like they are these respected experts in the field of paleontology or archaeology, whatever their title would be, and then they go from being these experts to their children.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's true.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's the casting for the movie was very well done too.
Yeah.
Didn't really know about them. I know Laura Dern's been in a few things. I didn't realize that the age difference between them, I don't know if in real life was that I didn't realize it was that much. I mean, when she filmed this, she was in her early 20s.
really,
Um,
she was that young.
I believe so. And, Sam Neill was already, I think, in his 40s, if I'm not
Hmm.
mistaken. But yeah, there was a pretty large age gap, and you always got that impression that they were like kind of dating in the movie, or they were, kind of involved somehow. But
Yeah.
as you go along, obviously you find out more.
Yeah,
But yeah, they did a good job. Jeff Goldblum, obviously, as we were saying, he's in here too. I did not know that Harrison Ford apparently turned down the role of Dr. Grant.
Yeah, I saw
And
that too.
Sean Connery also was kind of approached to be Dr. Hammond. I could only imagine that. Welcome to Jurassic Park.
That'd have been interesting.
That could have been interesting, yeah.
I feel like I don't know the actor's name who they chose, but I feel like he fits
Sir
the
Richard
direction.
Attenborough.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I also recently learned who was at one point up for the role of Dr. Malcolm. Anybody?
Who was it?
Oh, I think I don't know.
We
Was it
just
Rich?
we just had our second
Andrew
most
Dice,
successful.
Andrew Dice Clay. Hey, oh,
Hey T Rex, what are you, a homo? Oh
hey, look at this big pile of shit, eh? Oh, hey, oh.
no, we just did our second most successful episode ever on him. One
Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Really?
And I could see it. I could see it. But
yes,
I
don't know.
think they brought in Jeff Goldblum to audition, and they decided that's the direction that the character had to
I
go.
just can't
Yeah.
imagine a world without that famous GIF that he's in, where he's like, shirt is unbuttoned and
Yes.
just kind of laying there like this.
Yeah.
How many GIFs have been created of that, or pics or memes or whatever? Without that in the world,
Right. Or
man.
or just the line delivery, life finds a way.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I can't imagine. Or
That is one big pile of shit.
Waiting for
dropping, dino dropping.
uh,
It's never
Yeah.
not funny.
no, it's always funny.
That's one thing. As like I wasn't even 8 years old yet. Yeah, as a 7-year-old, I heard that in the theater, and I was like, I'm laughing at this. Like, this is, I remember my mom cracking up, everybody in the theater laughing. I was like, this is hilarious. It's like, it's okay for me to laugh at this cursor.
So I thought of another scene that we could talk about here. Another really iconic scene, in my opinion, one that I also remember from when I saw this in the theaters, is that initial scene where you finally, you get to hear about this one dinosaur. Let me see if you guys recognize this sound. I know, you hear about it up until this point, but you didn't get to see it yet. And even Jeff Goldblum, he gets kind of annoyed. He's like, you guys are going to be showing dinosaurs on this ride." I love when he's hitting the camera, and then Dr. Hammond, he's like, "I hate that guy."
Yeah. Blows the air on it.
But yeah, that initial, it's the second time that they're passing through, but that storm comes in and they get stuck in the T-Rex paddock, as they call it, and all hell kind of breaks loose after that. But that scene in general, it's just like, that another one that just kind of blew my mind, sitting there as a kid watching that. And yeah, that was like really the first Yeah, that was when Gennaro, right? That guy,
Yeah.
he got his ending in that one. But yeah,
Hmm.
what do you guys remember about that scene? I mean, I'm just bringing this one up in particular, but that's one that definitely sticks out to me. It's just like, whoa.
Yeah. So I think the anticipation of seeing the T Rex. Richard Attenborough. I'm blanking out on the character's name for some reason.
Hammond.
Hammond, John Hammond. He alludes to the T Rex and when they see the Brachiosaurus, right? They've clocked the T Rex at 32 miles an hour. They're like, oh, you got a T
You have
Rex.
a T Rex.
So
You
yeah,
have a T Rex.
so as a kid, you're like, holy cow, I'm gonna see a T Rex in this movie, and it builds that anticipation. And even during that scene with the cup of water, right? Which I've learned after reading
Iconic.
up.
Iconic. Ooh, there's a
Yeah.
little voice crack there, but yeah,
Um,
iconic.
and in order to get the water to form that wave, apparently the special effects supervisor, he had a guitar and he flicked the guitar string underneath that area to make it do that.
That's
cool.
interesting.
Yeah, I thought you'd
Cool.
appreciate that, Cass.
Yeah, that's cool.
Interesting.
Yeah, but like, I mean, just it's Jaws-esque. It's Spielberg in his purest. That whole
Yeah.
like, it's iconic. The T-Rex itself. We talked about the special effects mixed with the animatronics, and when they do this scene at night in the rain, the CGI is flawless, right? Because you don't. It blends, everything kind of blends. It looks realistic. It's so damn real, and it's scary as hell. And that roar is just. I still just crap my pants a little bit when you play the sound
Yeah.
because it's
Yeah.
still scary. It takes you back to being a kid, right?
I forget what they said that they combined for the sound of the T-Rex. I think something was like a lion mixed
Yep.
with like some other animal, like I want to say like maybe a hippo or something. It was like
Alligators.
yeah, it was
There's
like
even like
couple, it
a
was multiple
whale.
animals.
whale.
I
Yeah,
remember
this is
hearing
like,
that. Yeah, like I know in different Godzilla movies have different sounds too. I know for one of them there's a whale. I'm not just pulling pulling that out of my posterior. But, yeah, it's a scary sound.
Yeah.
And what did you mention? Animatronics? What are animatronics exactly?
similar
Are
to
those shitty special
animatronics.
effects?
Yes, those aren't seen in this movie.
Yeah, yeah, really shitty looking things. When I saw it as a kid, I was just blown away by how cool it was. You know, just sitting there in awe. Now watching it, I appreciate, like we just said, the whole setup where it's like the goat's not there anymore, and there's like, you hear the footsteps. You know, not too loudly, but
Maybe
enough.
it's the power turning back on. You idiot.
Yeah, and you
Freaking
see
Gennaro.
that guy sucks. But then when you finally see the T-Rex, and then you know the most famous, or maybe the most famous image, is when they shine the flashlight and you see the pupil contracts, which is a really cool touch. As a kid, I was awestruck. I was pretty scared this time. I watched it yesterday. I was like, I didn't remember how frightening that scene is, and how hard the T-Rex is going after the kids, like that it breaks through the top of the car and the kids are under plexiglass getting attacked. That's like that's horrifying.
Yeah.
So it never, the movie never played as any kind of horror to me when I was younger, but now that's a scary scene. That's one of the scariest scenes of any movie ever. Like, I think fear comes from if you could put yourself in the people's shoes in the movie, and that, could you imagine?
And the fact that they make them kids, right,
Yeah.
makes it even scarier, right?
Spielberg,
Yeah,
Spielberg's always about kids and having huge roles or bigger roles in his movies. But I do have an issue with this part.
Oh, okay.
Me too. And I want to see if it's the same as you.
All right. So, Dr. Grant and, Malcolm eventually get out of the truck and try to help the kids. Why did they wait so long?
Exactly.
Why are they waiting?
It's going to say the same exact thing.
They're even Dr. Malcolm, he's like cleaning the windshield to like watch more. Like, these kids are, I mean, yeah, what can you possibly do against a T-Rex? But they waited so long to finally do something and act.
Right. And it's not like the T-Rex was just milling about around the car.
No.
While the T-Rex is trying to bite through the plexiglass.
They're just like this, like, ooh, I gotta get a better seat. I gotta watch. Like, what?
Horrible.
That always bothered me. And the other scene where, like, the girl, who she's been in a few things too. I think she didn't act too much longer.
Angus.
Exactly.
Oh, nice.
Thank you. Yeah, Angus Bethune. But yeah, even that scene, like, Even that scene, I'm like, come on, you're smashing the flashlight to flash it at the thing, like,
Yeah,
ugh.
it was frustrating.
You know what?
Frustrating.
They were both still thinking about Dr. Sattler because they both have a thing for Dr. Sattler.
I guess so. Interesting, another little thing I saw, which I thought I saw this a little bit after, but again, when the movie came out, they were trying to be as accurate as they possibly could with what they knew at the time for dinosaurs. And, the running thing in that scene especially was, Dr. Grant eventually comes out, he's like, freeze! And, he thinks that, don't move, they can't see you. But I guess it was a little while after that they came out where, I guess they were researching some of the fossils or something and maybe saw that new information showed that there was a possibility that they could have had very good eyesight, actually. So it kind of goes against it. But at the time, they were trying to be as accurate as possible. But, maybe if they filmed that now, I don't think they would have survived.
Yeah.
You know what's insane? Dinosaurs weren't even discovered until like 1890 or 1892, something like that.
True.
So it means when the founding fathers,
They didn't know.
when George Washington was president, he didn't ever hear of a dinosaur before.
I mean, he was
Wild.
6'7" and he was killing for fun.
He'd save
Opponents
children,
beware.
but not the British children. But I mean, like anything that we're just piecing together from archaeological digs, all we know about dinosaurs is just from bones and whatever other tissue happens to get preserved.
Absolutely. We could even go down a little bit further and say that, Dr. Grant could have some cause to say, I told you so, because they did come out. I want to know more. I want to say more recently saying that some of these dinosaurs, especially the raptors, probably did have feathers, and resembling a lot more of, birds, as he was saying. So, people are laughing at Dr. Grant in the movie. And I know there was actually some scientists and stuff out there that did talk about this, but he has some retribution here. So
now, had you ever heard of a velociraptor before Jurassic Park?
I have not.
Yeah,
Probably not. Probably
No.
not.
Yeah, so that wasn't. I mean, they're pretty badass. They're apparent. They come across as being extremely intelligent. Again, it fascinates me. I don't know how much truth there is to this stuff. Again, it is a movie, but to know the intelligence of a creature just by looking at a fossil, like
Crazy.
I guess, you can tell by the, how big the brain could be or, the way everything's shaped, like what it would be used for. But it's still fascinating that we have all this information just from that.
Yeah.
Real quick, favorite dinosaur? Don't think. Quick.
Stegosaurus.
Stegosaurus was that? Triceratops.
You would.
Nice.
Yeah, I did. Okay.
Did we just become best friends?
Yeah, I could be like Dwight from The Office when Jim said Triceratops, and Dwight says, "You know what dinosaur is better than Triceratops? Every dinosaur that ever existed."
Even a compy.
Question: what type of dinosaur is best?
But yeah, I don't know. I just brought up those two, and getting back into those scenes. That was just another scene that popped out to me. Are there any other scenes that kind of like you guys really remember for like, first time you saw it? Like, I know there's a few other parts of the movie, but again, those were the kind of ones that stuck out to me.
Well, go ahead, Skills.
No, go ahead.
I heard a like you're gonna start talking. Go.
No. Go ahead. You got one. You got one ready. Good.
Well, I was just gonna say. No, you go first because mine's a little broad.
All right,
so.
mine's a short one.
Should you rock paper scissors for who goes first?
No.
I'm going to give you a couple of short ones. So the one that still is really damn cool to me is at the the one that towards the end when the raptors are attacking them in the facility, and the reflection of the DNA code is on. It's just I don't know. I mean, it's kind of
really
corny,
cool.
but it's cool to me. Like, I don't know.
I
it's
thought
cool,
it was
right?
really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I always love that. And then the other thing from the beginning, we didn't. We kind of jumped in a little bit, but the opening scene when they're not the opening scene in the movie, but when they're approaching the island on the helicopter, the first time you hear the Jurassic Park's, the main theme. But the part where I read about this and I never noticed it until I read that and then watched, I was like, oh shit, is when Dr. Grant is trying to buckle his seatbelt
And two female connectors.
Two female connectors, and he ties them together, kind of some foreshadowing for the dinosaurs.
Exactly.
I thought that's pretty cool.
I didn't realize there's two female connectors. When I was watching yesterday, I was just like,
life finds a way.
That's exactly right.
From the turned villain in the series, Dr. Wu, but whatever, we can get into that.
Oh, yeah.
What I was going to say is, if you asked me what Jurassic Park was about, pretty much up until yesterday, couldn't have told you. If you asked me as a kid, it's a bunch of dinosaurs and the park closes down and like they have to get away and then they get away. But didn't really have any concept of the whole stealing the embryos. I knew that we didn't mention Nedry. I mean, come on.
Well, I was gonna get into the next part where it was gonna be like, all right, funniest moment from the movie. We'll get into that.
I knew that he was stealing something, but it never really quite clicked. And I was trying to really pay attention to the plot this time. And like, you know, there's a lot more going on than just dinosaurs. You know, the whole trying to steal the embryos to start another competitor park. You know, and then, you know, Nedry and all the nefarious dealings, but the system going down, I didn't really quite, you know, get the whole, I kind of understood in a vague way as a kid, but now, you know, I think I have the plot pretty much down. I still can't name all the characters. The game warden or whoever, the one who says clever girl, couldn't tell you what his name is.
Muldoon.
Yeah.
It's Muldoon? Okay. Mm-hmm. I heard the name Muldoon at one point and wasn't sure if I assigned it to him. Okay.
And there is that one annoying scene where they're initially approaching the T-Rex paddock and you know, they're in the control room and he just goes, "Quiet! They're approaching the T-Rex paddock." Like,
this is the Tyrannosaur paddock.
Yeah, dude, calm down. And there's another scene too with where personally I feel like Laura Dern's character, she might overact a little bit in this film.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
There's a couple scenes where she acts a little too dramatic.
Could it be the one where?
Well, what's that?
Where she has an arm in her hand.
Well, it was right after that scene where she eventually escapes that like control room, whatever, and she's like on her own, and she just kind of looks up and she sees Dr. Grant, and she just goes, "Run, run!" And then she just starts hobbling along. I'm like,
yeah, but he doesn't run. She jumps in his arms.
Exactly. Like,
whoops.
Oh. Yeah, like let's transition into a little bit more fun with this then. I know I have a favorite line that comes from this movie, kind of speaking to the character of Nedry, or you know, as he's called, Dennis in this scene. But my favorite line, I love this line. I laugh every single time. They're in the control room, they're in the computers, whatever, and you know, they're talking to Dennis about debugging the computers, and he goes nuts. They got to debug the computers, and Hammond just turns to him and he's like, Hammond goes to Dennis and he's like, how does he word it again? He goes, "Our lives are in your hands and you have butterfingers." It just gets me every single time. I know that was a terrible impression of Dr. Hammond, but I don't care. I love that.
As he was slurping down a Jolt Cola.
Oh, it was a Jolt Cola?
Yes.
Oh wow!
Oh yeah. I don't know if you guys have any memorable moments from this that made you laugh. Because Spielberg was always good with that. He always had moments in some of his movies too that he would get you to laugh too. Yeah. Even if they were very serious, dramatic films, like there was something in there that would kind of crack a smile every now and again.
It's the concept of light and shade, because you know, if you're making something serious, you need to lighten things up every now and then, because then the serious moments have more impact.
Yes.
You don't want watching a movie to be a chore. You want to be entertained. So,
Agreed.
Scales, what were you? I see.
I have a few quotes I wrote down. I have Samuel L. Jackson, Mr. Arnold, as the ride is starting, is "Hold on to your butts." I always like that one. I have as they're approaching the gate, which I meant to mention as an iconic scene, as the huge gate is opening, and Dr. Malcolm goes, "What do they got in there? King Kong?"
Yeah,
he's pretty cool.
That's a good one.
And then I have, well, it's just kind of stupid line from Tim when they're up on the tree with the brachiosaur and he's telling little jokes. What do you call a blind dinosaur? Do you think he saw us? Yeah.
That's a good one.
What would his dog be?
Do you think he saw us, Rex?
Hey.
There he is.
Go ahead, Cass.
I'm going to have to go with the most obvious one, because No Jurassic Park discussion is complete with You didn't say the magic word. And then also, more Nedry, Dodgson, you got Dodgson here. See, nobody cares. The scene with Mr. Arnold's arm almost made me laugh loud.
That's great. It's so great.
Just because she acts like, thank God, Mr. Like,
Yeah.
you didn't realize when you took the hand that it felt considerably lighter than an entire human being would. And pretty much every time Jeff Goldblum is on camera, he's great. From the first time I saw it, when they're in the helicopter and he's having the conversation, it just starts making sounds like ha 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 ha. There's just a lot of shots of him reacting to things, like just, panning on him.
And of course, how could we ever forget my last one, Duffy? Dino DNA. It's Mr. DNA.
Dinosaur.
Okay. Yeah, these are again big moments from the movie. We could easily spend a lot more time diving into this movie even more, but we were going to kind of go into the franchise a little bit more. But we wanted the bulk in this film.
Last thing to say at all.
What you got?
It's unbelievable how an audience could be like putty in the filmmaker's hands, because we were just talking about how scary the T-Rex scene is and how the T-Rex is the villain in the movie. Then the raptors become the villains, and T-Rex saves the day, to the point where the audience is rooting and cheering for the T-Rex, who was almost killing the entire cast.
Yes,
it's crazy how it's just like, like that's the good guy now.
That's valid. Absolutely. I mean, again, we'll kind of we're building off of that, and I think we'll change gears a little bit and start talking a little bit about the rest of the franchise. I mean, this was a obviously money-making machine, this whole thing. I mean, some of the other movies had their moments. It's so hard to fill the shoes of this original iconic film and expect it to, live up to that. It's very rare for even a sequel to live up to that. I mean, I know we've talked about this a little bit in the past, but there's a few sequels out there that, you can get down with and even say, yeah, it's better than the first. This is not the case here. But again, these have their moments. It took on another role with The Lost World came after this. Then there was just Jurassic Park 3, I believe. I don't know if it had a specific name.
No.
And that was like an initial trilogy. They all came out, and I want to say it was like how many years later? 15? Somewhere around there, where the newer trilogy that's currently out, came out, and what is it? The current one that's out right now, the
Jurassic
World, Dominion. There was a Lost Kingdom, whatever.
Fallen Kingdom.
Yeah. So those are the newer ones that are out now, and the first one out of that series, it did pretty well. But again, going back to the original, it's hard to compare. But I thought maybe we could dive into it a little bit, talk about The Lost World. I know there was some characters in there. Jeff Goldblum reprises his role. I think Dr. Hammond's in it for a little bit in the beginning, as well as the kids, if I'm not mistaken. But they're only the initial thing. And I know Scales, you'd said you just recently watched this one, so I have a little bit of a memory of this. But anything that kind of like popped off, I think you were even saying that maybe we're not giving this one enough credit.
I think we aren't. I think most people aren't. I think people need to go back and rewatch this if they haven't in a while, because before I rewatched it again recently, I was in the same ilk. It's like, it's The Lost World. They're all not going to be as good as the original, of course, but I think The Lost World is pretty damn good for a sequel. There's a lot of great moments in this movie. I mentioned with you guys earlier the trailer scene where they have the baby T-Rex and they're trying to nurse it back to health, and Mama and Daddy come to the right. He had a horrible sound at the
like, dude, shut up.
But that trailer scene where it's hanging off the cliff and Julianne Moore's character falls onto the glass and it's cracking as she's like probably hundreds of feet from the ocean rock, and it's super intense.
They just added more T-Rexes. There's a male and female in this one. They're just like, you know what? Let's just double up on the T-Rex.
Yes. You have the the scene where the Tyrannosaurus attacks the camp. He's got his head inside the tent, which is pretty cool on second watch. The scene where they're all running through the high grass with the raptors chasing them is pretty cool.
That was pretty cool. Yeah.
I mean, and not to mention, obviously, the T-Rex gets to the mainland, to San Diego. Like, yeah, I mean, as a kid, Jurassic Park is one thing, but in the back of your head, you're always thinking, you know, what happens if one of these dinosaurs gets to a populous place where there's cities and stuff, and you get to see that, and it's pretty cool to me, even still today. Obviously, Jurassic World takes that to the next level, but initially, this was the first time we saw that, and I think it holds up. I think it's pretty damn good. I think you guys need to give it a second opinion.
I mean, I've seen it a number of times as well. I enjoyed it. I remember when it was coming out, like there was a lot of anticipation for it because of just, you know, the first film, and, you know, here we go, we're doing this again. Basically, you know, you didn't have a lot of the same people that were going to be in it, but Jeff Goldblum was in it. You know, and they hinted at the idea, if I remember correctly, they were pushing a lot from the scene. I want to say I even maybe saw it during the Super Bowl. They might have had the trailer first come out, and it was the scene where, you know, the T-Rex is in that backyard of the kid and the poor freaking dog. But
Yeah.
see, it's even getting me choked up. My voice is cracking because the poor freaking dog is barking at the T-Rex.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I think that was like the scene, and then, you know, you see the thing and just the chains hanging out of the T-Rex's mouth, and the kid's like runs into their parents' room like, there's a monster out my window or whatever. I don't know. That was pretty cool, but it's, I don't know, it's an okay movie. It's good. It's got a lot of action. There's a couple, like, you know, corny scenes in there, like, you know, Jeff Goldblum's like daughter or whatever, who does her like gymnastics routine to like take care of a raptor or whatever. But and, you know, you got Vince Vaughn in there too, which
Yes.
you know, you forget that he was in this.
Yeah, young Vince Vaughn.
Yeah. Cass, I don't know, did you watch this any recently or have any memories of it, or not really?
I haven't seen this movie since it was in the theater, and that was what, 1997?
Seven, yeah.
So it's been 25 years.
Oh, that's it?
I was so excited to go see it because of how much I love the original, and it just felt like such a letdown. It didn't have any of the energy or like awe-inspiring scenes of the original. Jeff Goldblum's character wasn't the same. Like, he didn't feel like that zany, quirky, but
it turned him more into like the action star, when it's like, that's not really what his character was supposed to be.
Yeah. And you know what? It's because his character is not meant to be the protagonist. He's meant to be, you know, the color in a scene. The movie felt plotting. It felt a little bit uninspired. It doesn't feel like a Spielberg movie. I think the payoff is just towards the end when the dinosaurs come to mainland, but even that just felt like, it was like, okay, you know, that was pretty crazy. But I never revisited it because, thinking about it, I'm sure it's not a bad movie like you guys are saying. It's just when you like a certain movie so much and then you see something that was that big of a letdown comparatively, it's hard to be objective about it. So I'd have to go back and watch, you know, with fresh eyes. But anytime a new Jurassic Park movie came out, I was always saying it's like, well, it's better than The Lost World, right? Because in my mind, The Lost World was this terrible movie. But, you know, retrospectively, you know, I know it's not a terrible movie. It's just, it's not what, nobody was ever going to get what they were looking for with the second Jurassic Park movie.
Then there comes Jurassic Park 3.
Ugh.
Which, again, it's part of the franchise. It has some moments here and there. Sam Neill comes back. But again, it's a little, you know, another one where it's a stretch. They're just trying to, you know, make a movie to make money, basically, is what this comes down to. And there's that annoying kid in it who gets, like, you know, stranded there and he cubbies, and the kid sucks, basically. And I'm drawing a blank on some of the other. There's a couple notable people in there.
So, William H. Is it William H. Macy?
Yes, he's in it.
Tia Leone.
Yep. They're like the husband wife couple looking for their kid who gets kind of like lost on the island, and, you know, Sam Neill's basically kind of their tour guide to help them get through. But then they introduce like this I think this is the first one they tried to introduce like a new deadly predator, like a new dinosaur, one that could swim, and that's there's the reoccurring theme where it was what was it, the Nokia ringtone, or was it the Nextel ringtone or whatever, the
Nokia, I think.
Thing eats like the cell phone, the satellite phone, and they could always hear when this thing was coming because the thing would like ring or whatever. But all right, that was kind of cool. I liked that part, but and then they introduced the first time that we saw like pterodactyls and stuff too, more of a flying not apiary, the what am I thinking of?
I think that's right.
Aviary.
Aviary, thank you.
Yes, apiary is for bees. Bees, yeah.
Yes. Okay. It was one of those.
See, I mean, I can't comment because I haven't seen Jurassic Park 3, and I don't intend to, because on almost every list I looked at of the rankings of the movies, it was last.
That's fair though.
With introducing this, it was the Spinosaurus is the one in that, right?
Yeah.
Are you making Jurassic Park movies or Godzilla movies? Like, are you like, does every Jurassic Park movie then need to have some new exciting dinosaur, or are you going to artfully make a movie with the same materials you've been given, where it's like, if the Spinosaurus is the new predator or whatever, it's like, is it replacing the T-Rex? Is it also like in conjunction, like, like why what function is it serving that makes the movie better?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, it's valid. And I mean, that movie came out, and I think they definitely took a long break after that. Definitely they realized, it's like, all right, we probably have exhausted our options here. But little did we know that a few years after that they would essentially kind of continue the whole storyline, and it was almost kind of like a reboot of the originals, but it was like a continuation reboot, if that makes sense, where they took the original story and we just went like 15, 20 years down the road, and what's happening. And the first one, technically the fourth film in this, just changing gears into this one, they basically, I think it's the same island, just a different part of the island, and they've actually succeeded in creating the park essentially. And it kind of follows along with that. And I think Jeff Goldblum is in it for like 5 minutes. Am I correct with that?
I think so.
Isn't he like? Isn't he?
I think in this.
Isn't he in there he's in a courtroom or something? He's talking about his book that he wrote or something. Isn't he in this for like a few minutes?
I can't remember if it's that one or Fallen Kingdom. Now I'm confused.
I think it's Fallen Kingdom because I've only seen Jurassic World. But truthfully, I was half watching it because I was working. I just had it on in the background and it was kind of.
I thought you were going to say you were half in the bag. That would have been cooler.
Half in the bag.
That would have been cooler. I was like watching. I was like half in the bag.
No.
That was the first one when it came out. Chris Pratt. He did it was an enjoyable movie. They showed some of the nostalgic things from the island, like you go back and you get to see like the old visitor center and some of the old Jeeps and everything, and they incorporate that into the film, which I thought was kind of cool. They make references to it. Yeah, the goggles.
Tim's goggles.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of cool how they incorporated some of the older things into it, and they're talking about it. And one of the characters from the original, Dr. Wu, makes a return, and apparently now he's a villain. Yeah. Even though he had like 1-2 minutes of lines in the first one where he's like introducing the raptor eggs or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But now he's apparently the villain, in decoding and encoding DNA and creating all sorts of variants of different dinosaurs or whatever. I'm like, oh.
Well, after his turn as a rug peer in The Big Lebowski, woo, peed on my rug, man.
Yeah.
I wanted to like Jurassic World. I wouldn't say I hated it, but it didn't do it for me. It wasn't.
I liked it.
I felt. I even said to you guys that this is going to be the kind of a filmmaking thing, but there's too much music in the movie. Music shouldn't be dictating how you feel. It should be, kind of augmenting how you feel. And I felt like at every turn, the movie was trying to tell me how I was supposed to feel about a given scene with the music, when I was just like, it was making me anxious almost.
Would you prefer just bass and drums?
That's all it is. Because think about that T-Rex scene in the first movie. it's very quiet, other than like the screaming. Like
Yeah.
there's a lot of silence in that scene verbally.
True.
You know, it's not like, I feel like if that scene were in Jurassic World, there would have been like music underneath making you feel, you know, kind of crazy the whole time.
That's true.
Got a point there.
The mosasaur is cool because it's totally different from anything before, and the pterodactyls, though pretty annoying because it felt like it was going on for a really long time.
Yeah.
They were a big part in the book, which is something we might, you know, get into at some point. But in the book, the pterodactyls were a big threat from what I remember, and I think they kind of took that and put it in Jurassic World, which is cool to see.
Yeah, I was a big fan of the Mosasaurus. I love sea creatures, so I love dinosaurs that are sea. You know, I love underwater dinosaurs, and I thought they did a great job with that. I love the scene. I thought it was appropriate with the great white shark. A little Spielberg shout out when he comes up and eats the shark. Pretty cool. I like the Indominus Rex. I thought that was a pretty cool way to bring in a new, you know, villain dinosaur. The like his camouflage abilities and that he's all genetically engineered. I thought it was an interesting spin.
Thanks to Dr. Wu.
Dr. Wu, yeah, of course. I thought they did a great job, but I'm a big fan of Jurassic World. The next two after that we'll talk about. Not as huge of a fan, but this original sequel to the original trilogy, Jurassic World, I was a big fan of it.
I mean, again, I think it had been so long since we had anything in this franchise, and it was anticipated for so long. And, you know, I thought they did a pretty good job with kind of, again, going back to some of the original aspects of the film, which would just kind of gave you just enough to like, oh, okay, there we go. And okay, nice. Yeah. But, with everything with this, I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty good. I definitely rated above Jurassic Park 3. But yeah, it did the job for me. But I didn't realize that they were doing a whole trilogy at the time when this came out. But I guess, you know, they had already had that in the works for a while.
Even animatronics are better than Jurassic Park 3. And it was cool that they had the little throwback with unleashing the T-Rex to fight the
T-Rex always has to come and make an appearance.
What's the dinosaur's name in that movie? Could they have given it an easier name?
Indominus Rex.
Yeah, that's stupid. Dude,
You're stupid.
Every time she said it, I'm like,
jeez.
What? Come on! Like,
just Indominus Irex.
Yeah, like even Tyrannosaurus, which is a long ass word, is easier than Indominus Rex. Like,
yeah, it's tough to say.
Yeah, but I mean the way that
Indominus.
it gets, I am Indominus. The way it gets its comeuppance with the Mosasaur is pretty cool.
Yeah, unexpected. That was a good ending.
The thing that sucks is that since I'd never seen Jurassic World, like sometime randomly, like a year ago, I wanted to see what that dinosaur was, and I looked up on YouTube the scenes with it, and I already saw the freaking scene. So like, when the T-Rex is fighting Indominus Rex, is like, I know how it's going to end. It would have been so much better if it was a surprise. That was cool.
Way to go.
And of course, that one ends with the T-Rex standing on top of the building there, letting out his big roar. Yeah. Pretty cool.
Hell yeah.
There he is.
Still does it. So there was also another film right after that one. Again, this was a new trilogy that they had put together for the franchise. And this one that came out, I want to say, was called Fallen Kingdom. Is that what this was? Yeah. And this, I know we were talking about this. This might have been the one that Jeff Goldblum kind of made that quick appearance in. But kind of a continuance. There was a little bit of a continuity here with like how the first couple films in the franchise went with, you know, different islands going back. And now in this new 3-part, you know, this trilogy here, it kind of had like a similar idea where it was like, you know, first one, main island, and the second one, you know, kind of going to another area. So similar, you know, arcs that they were trying to follow for this one. But, you know, I didn't think it was as good. You know, just kind of, you know, pushing a lot of ideas still on us and continuing something just to apparently get money. And then it, you know, the whole idea towards the end where again, Cass, I don't know, you saw this whole trilogy, correct? Or no, you didn't see this one?
No, I only saw the first Jurassic World,
Okay.
so I didn't get to see the second one, and I was going to see the third one, but I mean, reviews were pretty underwhelming, and haven't really.
Yeah.
I was gonna have to make time to go to the movie, and it didn't really seem like it was one that was worth making time for just yet. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna defer to both your wisdom on these two.
A little underwhelming. I don't know what you feel, Scales, but I kind of, left the theater feeling a little like, why this is kind of running its course.
I disagree. I liked it. I liked the opening. Well, so like the main plot of this, at least the beginning part, is there's an active volcano on Isla Nublar, and there's the big debate that's going on: is do we just let this volcano kill all the dinosaurs that are left there after Jurassic World and the park is shut down and all these dinosaurs are still there? Do we let the volcano just kill them all and wipe them out, or do we save them and do something with them? Right, that's the whole beginning part of this film. The volcano erupts and chaos ensues on the island, and they try to save these dinosaurs. I mean, it's not the best Jurassic Park film. We've already agreed that that's the first one, but to me, it's still good. I get my dinosaur action. I get this volcano erupting scene, which is pretty damn cool to me. It's a lot of horror elements in the latter, in the climax and the latter part of this film, with the little girl Maisie. With another new genetically engineered dinosaur from that damn Dr. Wu. He's now created the Indoraptor, which is a hybrid of the Indominus Rex and a raptor. So it's a lot smaller version of that beast that was in Jurassic World. So some cool scenes with that, some horror elements, like I said.
The underground market.
Yeah. It gets into, which, I mean, you guys may know I've read the book a while ago. I feel like a lot of these things that Michael Crichton is trying to talk about is that it's all these modern world problems that he's molded into this book about dinosaurs, right? There's genetic engineering and weapons and all that kind of stuff. So I think they probably try to take a lot of pieces of what he had going on in his books and putting that into these movies, and maybe it didn't pan out as good as they were in the books, or what people think these movies should really be about. I don't know, but to me, I like it. I think they did a good job with it. So,
yeah, we'll get into the book in a little bit. But yeah, it was still an enjoyable movie. Don't get me wrong. It was just, again, it just keeps. You could see that the end was near with these things. They're squeezing out a bunch on this, but I guess if it ever were to come to that, if somehow we did have dinosaurs, obviously like some sort of an underground market, I could easily see as, being an issue of some sort, people wanting these things as pets or trophies or whatever.
Yep.
Makes sense with, human nature of what we would want to do with this. So I get that idea. It's just, the way that they go about it with the film, it's far-fetched, but, it's supposed to be just for enjoyment, I guess. But,
dinosaurs are in reality, Joe. It's all far-fetched.
We don't know that, all right? They talk about the mosquito being caught in the tree and then being preserved with dino DNA. Come on.
Hey,
and then they cross it with a frog to fill in the missing bits, and voila.
None of this really matters because the devil put the dinosaur bones in the ground to test us.
Is that what it is?
Oh,
yeah.
Interesting.
That's the creationist. That's the creationist approach.
Jesus. Wow.
So
busy.
I mean, Pee-wee's Big Adventure and The Wizard.
Oh no.
It was so funny.
I wasn't expecting a Pee-wee connection here. Sorry, I spilled my water out.
For those of our audio only listeners, I said Pee-wee's Big Adventure and Scales just did a spit take.
I think that went through his nose too.
But in Pee-wee's Big Adventure, the scene with Andy where Pee-wee's in the dinosaurs with Simone. And I mentioned The Wizard with Fred Savage because the dinosaurs are in that movie too. I drove past there when I was going to California. I was in California. We're going to Joshua Tree National Park. And I saw them. I was like, oh my God, we have to stop. We have to stop. We went and we took a bunch of pictures, but that exhibit was taken over by the creationists, and there's creationist
Really?
propaganda around that exhibit
Oh,
now.
Seriously?
oh, that's
I
sad.
didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's
upsetting.
awful. That should be like, national landmark.
Sacred ground.
Yeah.
It really
Come
is.
on. It's terrible.
You know, go back to Jurassic World, the new one. I think
trying to use that phone.
Nice.
I think the main reason why I haven't seen most of these new movies is that I've learned my lesson over time. When it feels like a franchise is getting tired, whether it's a TV show or a movie franchise, I don't keep trying to watch new installments hoping that it's going to get better, because most times it doesn't. It's kind of, especially with a movie like Jurassic Park, it's hard to capture that lightning in a bottle twice. Like when I think about shows like The Office that I loved and Dexter that I loved, those late seasons really ruined it. So like if I've tried to kind of head off things like that, where latter installments just kind of tarnish the earlier ones for me, because I have such a great encapsulation of Jurassic Park, the first movie, and the Lost World was a dip down, but I barely even remember it. And I remember going to the movies to see it, and like it was still a good experience even if the movie wasn't that great. The diminishing returns of later movies, I mean, it doesn't seem like all of them are all that bad, but that's why I'm very hesitant to pursue seeing further installments in a franchise that's already getting a little tired.
I mean, I get it. I know what you mean with that, but when I'm going to these things, I know I'm not going to get, Jurassic Park.
Of course.
I'm not going to see it for that particular reason. I don't know, maybe deep down I'm just like hoping that there's going to be a few scenes here and there that kind of give me that nostalgic feeling towards the original movie, which these films tend to do pretty well. And I come out of it kind of always disappointed, but I'm just like, I mean, what am I really expecting here?
Right. But
I just go to enjoy it, just enjoy a movie and just, escape the reality of our terrible world right now. But that's another whole other topic for another podcast.
You never know, because you could end up with a Ghostbusters Afterlife or the Creed movies or Rocky Balboa,
that is true.
Where it
pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, breathe new life. So
yes, I agree.
We know me. I'm the difficult one of the three of us, so.
Not at all. But that kind of that brings us to our final movie in the franchise, which just recently came out. I made a point to go and see this. They were trying to obviously pull everything kind of together. They brought a lot of characters back in this one. Sam Neill, Laura Dern, Goldblum. They're all and they have major roles in this. Even Dr. Wu.
He's trying to redeem himself.
He's trying to redeem, and then they bring basically both worlds of both trilogies together in this film. Okay. Again, this is I know Scales, you saw this, correct?
Just last
recently,
night,
right? So again, it's premise is kind of just pulling everything together. Now the dinosaurs are basically living amongst us. What do we do about it? How do we solve this issue? And basically they go into a lot more of the cloning aspects of it, and basically taking all the information that they've used to make these dinosaurs and almost create weapons, and basically trying to avoid the end of the world, which Goldblum was trying to say as Dr. Malcolm, basically since day one, warning us of. And this film is very far-fetched, probably the most far-fetched out of any of them. The action scenes, there's a lot of action scenes, but I don't know, the first couple films in this franchise, there was action scenes. They were already outlandish because, again, we're dealing with dinosaurs here. Okay, I get that. But at least the action scenes, you could see things like that happening in those situations. This film, everybody is just a track star, an ultimate athlete. They can do no wrong. Perfect timing, agility, speed, in the right moment at the right time every single time. And it just got a little too much. I liked having all the characters back. Laura Dern obviously is not, I don't know if she's been doing a lot lately, but I don't know, she's lost a step or two. It was good to see her in the film. I like Sam Neill. He came back. I thought he kind of just picked up basically almost where he left off. They both, they looked great in the film, and obviously Jeff Goldblum. He basically made this movie. Still, in my opinion, even today, he was the one cracking jokes in this movie. He just made it. He definitely made it worth it. I don't know, Scales. What are your thoughts on the film? How did you like it? What did you think?
Yeah, I agree with Goldblum. I think he was back to his kind of persona that he was in the original.
Oh yeah,
With his little witty one-liners and his crazy
they
personality.
took him from away from the Lost World and made him back to his original.
Yeah, which is like Cass said. I mean, that's what his character should be. He's not a main guy. He's a side character. And they did a good job with that on this one. I did like it, but I do agree with you. There are some aspects of it that were. I mean, we say far-fetched. It's a dinosaur movie, but within the realm of this, the Jurassic Park franchise, we learned that Owen Grady, was his Chris Pratt's character in Jurassic World, has trained these raptors, the few raptors that he trained since they were babies, and he has this kind of alpha mentality over them, and they follow him, right? And he can control them with his hand and to have them stop and and calm themselves. But it kind of goes, for me, it was just a little bit too far when there's these giant ceratosauruses and these like Tyrannosaurus type dinosaurs that he's doing that too in this one scene. And it's like, I don't know about that. Like he controlled the raptors because he trained them. He shouldn't be able to put his hand up, and these other dinosaurs shouldn't be stopping for him. There was a couple things. That was one thing that I had to suspend my belief for a minute within this film, because I don't know. That didn't agree with that. Other than that, it was the premise was pretty cool. I like how the characters got all back together. I like the resolution with the Maisie character. I thought that was pretty cool how they tied that all together. And it was a fitting ending for. Should we spoil Cass on who the main villain was in this movie or not? Is he ever going to see it? He's probably not going to see it.
You could spoil it. I don't care.
Yeah, you can.
So it's a different actor that plays him, but Dodson is back, and he's like the CEO of this. It's called Biosyn. It's kind of like the new engine type company, and he's the villain in this movie. And he's a character in himself. This guy, I don't know the guys that plays him, but very quirky, eccentric. It's got Bill Gates, like Steve Jobs type of personality, like just really weird. Like he did a good job with the role.
I thought he was so crappy. Oh,
really?
I thought he was so crappy.
See, I thought he did a good job with the character he was trying to portray.
He's trying to, be this like kind of almost super villain, and he just came across as like, I don't even know how to put my finger on it. I just didn't like him. And then you had Dr. Wu coming back, and his character, he just made me laugh. I know he was trying to be a serious character, but like all of a sudden he has this change of conscience, and like he's standing at the end, like holding his backpack. Please take me with you. I knew how to solve the issue with the locusts. Apparently, so Cass, there's an issue where they genetically modified locusts to essentially eat all the grain of the world and mess up the world's food supply, so that they can essentially control everybody or whatever, that this company is doing it. And so Dr. Wu was like, but I know how to solve the issue, and I can rewire and change the DNA of the locust. Please take me with you. I'm sorry. It's just, I'm a little exaggerating a little just in case, but it was corny. I'm sorry.
So what you're saying about this one is it's stupid, but it's so dumb that it's stupid.
Somebody would say that, yes.
Let me see. I think somebody said something along the lines like this.
So there is just stupidity, but it's so dumb it's stupid.
That's what I was going for.
That's it. I think we knew somebody that said that. I don't know.
It was cool to see we got the feathered raptor, which obviously we talked about that. That was hinted at early, and but so it was cool to finally see that. Yeah. And then there was a new dinosaur we haven't seen in the films before, which is called the Therizinosaurus, and it has these huge claws. It's a real dinosaur. It's not a one from the movie. It's a real dinosaur that existed, and it's pretty cool looking. I
just feel bad for the T-Rex. Didn't he kind of get like effed up at the end there too? And he's like kind of your friend, and
he made it through. He's okay.
But still, like worry about him. You don't worry about the dude.
He'll be all right. He'll be okay.
It was still enjoyable. Like, I'm glad I saw it. And
Yeah.
again, Jeff Goldblum, he was funny. He had more than a couple lines in there where I'm like, just laughing. Just he was good. And but overall, it was just a little outlandish. And that kind of brought the series to an end. They're basically, yeah, as far as I know, they're done with it
For now.
until they make another trilogy out of this. But
till they just reboot the original. They're gonna release
Oh,
10 years
no.
from now.
Maybe we'll
Jurassic Park. It's like, I think I've seen that one before.
Maybe we'll get prequels. We should get prequels. That might be an interesting take on it before Jurassic Park.
In
They
a
do have a
time
lot
when
of
there were no
information.
dinosaurs, nothing happened.
I mean, this one did open up that opportunity because
Yeah.
they are going back to, even the video camera. There was a scene where the main character, the cloned one, she cloned herself essentially. She was a scientist, and she's showing the recording of being right next to a dinosaur, and it said like 1989. So, showing that it did happen. Some of this stuff was happening many years beforehand, but yeah, switching gears, kind of going into where this basically all came from. The novel that came out by Michael Crichton. From what I read, the screenplay for this film was actually in development when I think either the book came out or right before the book even actually came out, because they just saw this and they're like, this is going to be something big. We want to get our hands on this right away and start the ball rolling. I want to say all the way back in like 1989 is I think when I saw that. But I didn't read the novel myself, but I don't know if either of you guys have, and if you noticed any differences that you wanted to talk about, or main themes that maybe were a little changed from the film.
Well, one thing I alluded to before was the pterodactyls. I remember that being a fairly big part in the book. Just the pacing of the book is different. I don't remember it all that well. I read it a few summers ago. I do remember there being 2 T-Rexes, if I remember correctly. I feel like there was a younger one. I think there were 2 T-Rexes, and I remember them making a point to say how badly it smelled. I think there was a mention of it smelling like garbage, or this really intense smell, and that's how they knew that the T-Rex was in the area.
That's nasty.
And in the novel, Dr. Malcolm dies, which was shocking to me. But because his character was so popular in the movie, so Jeff Goldblum, I believe, is the one who suggested that he doesn't die in the movie. So they kept him alive. And his character was so popular for obvious reasons in the first movie that when Michael Crichton went to write The Lost World, he had to find a way to resurrect him, not literally bring him back from the dead, but that he didn't actually die, that his death pronouncement was done prematurely.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, I did see that. I guess a lot of kind of Michael Crichton's ideas on the world and everything in general are basically Jeff Goldblum's character, Dr. Malcolm. Like, I guess there's that connection there where it's like basically him speaking through Dr. Malcolm as like how he views things. And I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be the entry point for the common person. I mean, he's
Gotcha.
chaos theoretician, or what does he say? A
chaotician.
Chaotician.
Yeah.
And Michael Crichton is pretty insightful. I mean, we're living through the Andromeda strain right now.
Yeah.
True.
Scales, what about you? You remember anything from?
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've read it. I just remember it. I remember it diving a lot more into the science and the genetic engineering and that type of stuff more than the movie did. And I've read something on IMDb where Spielberg didn't. He did this scene with the Mr. DNA, really took a whole lot of stuff from the book and just wrapped it up in that one little couple minute segment. Just because they didn't want to dive into all the details of that.
It's pretty effective exposition.
Yeah, no, it was a good job.
I'd say so.
Yeah, did it very cleanly.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. But yeah, that's basically derived from that novel. I think it was he came out with that, The Lost World, and was there any others after that he wrote? Can't remember.
I don't think there was any other Jurassic Park theme books. Yeah, just the 2.
Yeah. And sadly, he died in 2018, so his vision is lost now as far as any further input, because
yeah. I mean, again, like we were saying, maybe prequel type stuff, but I don't know.
But
It's just
there's
how
no
it worked out.
source material from him for it. That's the unfortunate
Exactly.
thing.
Right.
Exactly.
Well, maybe him and Spielberg have had. Maybe there's conversations that we don't know about that they've talked about things that could be sitting on some back burner somewhere.
Yeah.
Never
As
know.
if he doesn't need any more money, you know.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I doubt that Spielberg will do another Jurassic Park
I mean,
movie.
he's involved with these ones. I mean,
Is
he's
he?
not he's not the
Was.
director, but he's
Yeah,
like
it's like
executive producer. Yeah, he's
put his
involved.
name on some
Wait,
stuff.
and
Yeah.
it's gonna make him money.
Yeah,
Both
sure.
ways. It's gonna make him money, but also if he puts his name on it, it's gonna make money.
Yeah.
Money.
Of course.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but I don't. I mean, he has done some sequels, but I think generally he's not big into directing sequels. It's like
Yeah.
I think did he direct the Indiana Jones all the movies?
Maybe just the first three.
Yeah.
I don't think he
That's
did
right.
a fourth. I know he had an input in the fourth one and the upcoming fifth one, which I don't know how far away it is, but
Oh wow.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, again, that's getting into the novel a little bit. I mean, there were some other, things that, it was obviously a whole like franchise, so they dove out into toys and I don't remember if there was any other cartoons. I think there was something on Netflix. They even made like a film or something, like an animated film they're considering part of the franchise as well. But
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but I do remember, some video games for it. Like I don't know if you guys played any of those. I had a specific one I think for Sega called it was like Jurassic Park Rampage Edition, and you're kind of you're basically running around as Dr. Grant and going through the island and trying to get out. I thought that game was pretty damn cool. They did a good job. I think it was kind of a revamp of like just the regular Jurassic Park that came out for Sega, but I don't know. I played that one. There was another one I think I played for PlayStation that was also pretty cool, where I think you could play as the dinosaur.
Yes.
I'm not
Yeah, as a
mistaken.
raptor.
Yeah,
as
as a raptor.
Yeah, I
couldn't
had
be the
that.
you couldn't be the raptor in the Sega one. I thought you could be
can't
either.
remember.
Could you
for some
actually?
reason.
No. You're right. You're right. You could be. You could be the raptor in the Sega one as well. But I think in the PlayStation one, I think it was only dinosaur. I think you could be right.
I think
don't
it might be
remember.
both again. Might
Are
be
you-
both.
Person again. I don't.
Yeah.
It's been so long.
It was fun. It was regardless.
I remember them being enjoyable. Did you guys
Yeah.
play any of those games or?
I rented the one on Sega once.
Okay.
I didn't really get to play it that much. If I remember correctly, when you're playing as Grant, you have I think a taser.
Your
think
gun
so.
changes and
I
stuff.
think
You have like
I
a
think
flamethrower too.
I think I tased the Triceratops or something early on, and it made a sound and keeled over, and I didn't want to play anymore. 'Cause it was-
That's so sad.
yeah,
It's
it was
like-
like "Arrgh," and went over, and it was like,
Yeah.
oh, I don't want to play this. I hate this.
There's like one level towards the end, right before I guess you beat the game, and it was like I don't know. I thought it was like pretty scary for like a level on a game. Like you're kind of going through. It's like dark. You're on like a little raft, like boat with a motor, and you're kind of going through, and you got to weave around on some of these little waterfalls, and like out of nowhere the T-Rex pops out, and you got to like shoot at it to get by it, and it was like dark the way they did it. The music was kind of creepy. I was like, I don't know. It always kind of.
Did you know there was a Nintendo NES Jurassic Park game? I've looked it up and I was like,
I didn't
wow,
know
I didn't
that.
even know that existed.
I guess it
Probably-
was right towards the
that's-
end of when NAS was
Yeah.
still making games,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, it had to be.
Yeah, it has to be in like the last class of games that they released. Because
Right,
by
yeah.
then, Super Nintendo had already been out for
Right,
2 or 3 years by the time Jurassic Park the movie came out.
right.
Every time you say Jurassic Park, I think you're going to say Jurassic Pork. I don't know why.
Pork?
I don't know why. It's just the way it's just coming out. I'm like, is he going to do it this time? Is he going to say Jurassic Pork? I'm
Never.
like, what is Jurassic Pork anyway?
It's about genetically engineered pigs.
Oh, nice. It's the next line of films.
Imagine how good that bacon would taste.
How about the arcade games? Did you guys remember playing the arcade games at Jurassic Park or no?
No.
Don't
No?
really recall. No, I don't.
Oh yeah, there was a
I mean,
there was a
there
few
shooter? Was there a shooter? I don't remember.
there was a few incarnations of them. So there was initial one. I was looking these up before to try to jog my memory. So there was one that came out like '94. And then there's one in '97 that was the railgun type arcade game where it's like you're just
Okay.
shooting the whole time and it's shaking, which I definitely remember playing that one.
But they're like panning the camera around.
Yeah,
And
exactly. Yeah,
Okay.
like one of those. There was a ton of those type of games back in that day at the arcade.
Mhm.
And then most recently, there's still one now at like Dave and Buster's or modern arcades if you go to. That's the same type of thing where you're holding a gun and you hold the trigger down and it's the camera's panning around. And I always enjoy those type of games at the arcade. Like when I go, and that's the one I always go to first. Still is Jurassic Park, just because I love Jurassic Park.
Yeah, that's cool.
I think we all do.
Yeah.
I think
How
that's safe
about
to say.
have you guys been to Islands of Adventure in Orlando in Universal Studios? I don't know if
Yes.
it's still there, but they had a pretty awesome boat ride.
Yes.
We
Still there.
went to the one at Universal in California too.
Oh yeah,
That was
yeah, we
nice.
did
cool.
together. Yeah, me
Yeah,
and
and
you.
then,
Yeah.
the famous thing where you're going down the raft and the T-Rex at the end pops down. It's like, oh,
Yeah, it's so same.
that's
same
it's
thing
such a
in
cool
Orlando.
ride. Such a
Yeah.
cool ride. Yeah, that one's really I like that one. And yeah,
Yeah.
you're going on the boat and like all sorts of stuff's happening. That's
Yeah. And now they have the new thing is the Velocicoaster,
Oh.
like Velociraptor themed roller coaster, which a little too
That's
crazy
cool.
for me, but maybe you guys would enjoy something like that.
interesting.
I forgot to
Um,
mention
yeah.
before when we were talking about seeing the movie for the first time. Taylor and I went sometime during pandemic when stuff was just starting to open up a little bit, but it's before it was still. It might have been 2020. Went to a drive-in in Warwick, New
Nice.
York,
That's
and
cool.
got to see a Spielberg double feature: Jurassic Park and then Jaws.
Oh, nice.
The only problem is that to see
Jesus.
a movie at a drive-in, it's got to start late, and it's the summer, so
I
by
was
the
say, what time did that
Jurassic
end?
Park
3 in the
started,
morning?
So Jurassic Park was first, and then we made it just to when they went out on the Orca and Jaws. I was like,
Jesus.
I have to drive home an hour in pitch black. So
Can't do
I'm
it.
dying to see it, and I cannot do it.
You're afraid like sharks are going to jump out at you while you're driving?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I think we covered a lot tonight. There was I know we focused mainly on the original because that was basically what got us to where we are today, but it rolled out a long line of films and video games and the book and everything like that. But I think it just helped to revolutionize just the way that movies are kind of made. I mean, I know we have a little bit of a quick throwdown we went through with like just blockbusters for movies, but this was an iconic film that I will always remember as coming out in the summer, looking forward to it and just like being excited to see this thing, and then just one of those movies where I honestly believe even as a little kid my mouth definitely dropped when I first saw some of those scenes. I don't know.
Mhm.
So what are some closing thoughts? Like, any other things that you have on your mind? Any other things that you wanted to talk about and bring up about the franchise in general? Cast, what do you got?
Like we said earlier, it's a movie that set the bar higher for a few different reasons. It's another Spielberg classic. The effects and the overall immersion that you feel into that environment is unparalleled. And I can't really think of a movie that's come along since then where you have that same sense of wonder watching it. So the first movie will forever be the legacy of the franchise. They can make another 5 awful movies, which I'm not even saying that all the sequels are awful, but it'll never tarnish the legacy of the original. And anytime you look at a list of which Jurassic Park movies were best, it's always there's never a question. The first one is far and away the best one. It's not like people arguing over Godfather 1 and 2. It's not like what's your favorite Rocky movie. It's like Jurassic Park is an amazing movie, and then what do you think of the sequels after that? So
It's in my top list of like probably favorite movies of all time.
yeah,
Like, it's up there for me. I really enjoy it.
Same.
Yeah.
Same.
and every child grows up loving dinosaurs, and we were fortunate to see this movie for the first time as children, and then really feel like we felt like we were seeing them for real. It didn't feel like we were watching a movie about them.
Absolutely. Scales, what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, well said. I just want to, this might sound kind of cheesy, but like thank Michael Crichton and Steven Spielberg for like bringing these ideas A to life in the book and then B onto the big screen. Just we're so lucky to have, like you just said, witnessed that as kids, and it's left such an indelible mark on all of us, I think, and kids that are all born in our generation, to just love dinosaurs and love the fantasy genre and all types of stuff like that. And I don't know, I'm getting all choked up here. I love this franchise from beginning to end. I was satisfied with the ending. Like I said, I just saw the final movie last night. Hopefully there will be some more, because I'll be first in line to go see them. And yeah, that's all I have to say. Jurassic Park, one of my all-time favorite movies, just like you, Duffy. Definitely, probably in my top 3 of all time.
Nerd alert!
I think most of us. I think we've spent the past 2 or 3 years wondering every day, like, what next? Maybe dinosaurs on the streets are what's next at this point.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I meant to say that. Like, we're at a time. We're at a time in science and where we're at in this world right now, where they're talking about bringing back and like extinct like woolly mammoths, and like that shit is like starting to be actually possible. They might be able to do it. So where does that go eventually? Did Michael Crichton see the future?
The best line. Sorry, I want you to say what you're going to say. The best line in the movie that resonated with me watching it this time was, I'm going to botch it, but it's Dr. Malcolm says something like, "You were so worried about what you could do that you never asked if you should do it."
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's I don't know. Yeah, it's very, with the way that the world is going and the direction that we're going with technology and things. It's not. If you had to put odds on it, I wouldn't say it's. If I had to say, I wouldn't say it's completely impossible that sometime in the future, this isn't something that we're actually looking at. Maybe not in our lifetime, maybe not even our generation or children's children or whatever. But they've come a long way with a lot of things, and I'm sure there's even stuff that we don't know about that they have the technology to do right now that they haven't released to the public. That wouldn't surprise me if there's little compies running around before you notice that.
the best.
I'm making a reference to the third Jurassic Park, by the way.
I think that's your favorite one, Duffy.
This is a really annoying scene with this kid, and whatever. Sorry.
Well, the best science fiction is predictive. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in Star Trek, like basically cell phones, in the 1960s, and they become reality. So,
very true. But I think we've exhausted the topic for the evening, fellas.
Yeah.
How do you feel?
I just hope that we don't get attacked by killer tomatoes, because then.
Oh God, Dr. Wu is up to no good. Killer tomatoes are next after these locusts.
I mean, maybe he's going to turn himself into a locust, and it's just that was so corny with his character. I'm sorry. Oh my God. Maybe if you can get yourself to watch it, Cass, you'll understand what I mean. It's just he made his character so corny, and then compared to the other 2 newer films, he was like trying to act more like a villain, like I created one of these.
Hey, all of
listen, a sudden, like, I put a cardigan on, and all of a sudden help me.
We all make mistakes. We're all allowed to redeem ourselves. It's okay.
I think I would have liked Jurassic World better if Vincent D'Onofrio played his character like Ager from Men in Black. If he went up to one of the dinosaurs,
it goes right up to the T-Rex.
Give me sugar.
Give me sugar. Anyways, this was fun as usual. Had a good time talking about an iconic franchise, mostly film, as we were talking about. But I enjoyed this with you guys. Hope you enjoyed it as well. Hope all of you listeners, whether you're viewing us or listening to us, also enjoyed this. Please tell us maybe some iconic moments you had, some comments for how I was hosting the show. If you have problems with me, if you don't like the way I look, if you don't like my voice, if you don't like how many times my voice cracked, let us know. If you got annoyed with Scales getting cracked up and choked up from talking about the film franchise, just let us know. We want to hear from you guys. We want to make this better for you. We enjoy this. We have fun doing this, but if we can make it better, that'd be awesome for you. Keep following us on all of our social media, Instagram, TikTok. Listen to us on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts. Stay tuned for other episodes we got coming up. We have some good material lined up for you guys that we hope that you continue to enjoy. and listen to, obviously. Tell your friends about us, spread the word. That'd be awesome too. And yeah, just, keep listening, and we will chat with all of you guys very, very soon. So until next time, we will bid you adieu. Bye. Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Have a good night.